Dear failed people primate species I share DNA with, you're not going to like this video. We're also going to discuss here the true reality of the human condition. I was telling somebody I know, how do you define the difference between a developed country and an underdeveloped country? And of course, we're social creatures. We have to go by the social interactions that we have or don't have, and if they're functional and if they benefit everyone. So there's a lot of countries with no bridges or buildings higher than 3 stories or movie theaters. There are villages in the world where they're more human than those with bridges and movie theaters and tall buildings. And if you look, for example, at bridges now and how hard it is to open a bridge and not argue about it and what it's really going to be used for, let's say between Canada and the USA, you can tell we're devolving, right? Even if you want to evaluate what it is a developed country in this way or not. So the thing is, though, is we have to evaluate it based on the standards of sentience and sapience. Look up the real definitions before capitalists change it and make it look different to benefit them, because they've done that with a lot of terms in the past and continue to do it. And ignorant people primates that are the norm help them out. So, but even if you want to evaluate our species by movie theaters, go walk in a movie theater, see if it's sticky on the floor, right, in the bathrooms including, and see the quality of the food being served, see how it's the cleanliness, if it's well managed, if there's communication skills, if the cashiers can do basic math without the help of a computer. Basic math, no multiplication or division, and give you your change back if you pay cash, right? And go see the quality of the movies, right? And see if we're a developed country. And of course, we are not in Canada, but Canada is not the worst in the world. We're about average. Hey, let me read you something from here. And again, you can hate me if you want, and this is one of the big concept of my YouTube channel, is we need to discuss ourselves as a species objectively. Otherwise, there's no problem solving. I was telling this same person today, I was saying, Carney's got good intentions, but he's trying to solve the problems caused by capitalism, which is getting more cutthroat and less human rights are involved. Less caring for human rights being involved, even though, the U.S. administration is blaming people for things they're doing. And I say, well, why don't, let's say they're civilized in Europe, why don't the leaders say, we would like to stop interacting with President Trump unless our own psychiatrists give us an evaluation. And it's not just about mental health. It's about his motivations and intentions. Are they good for the world in being such an influential role? Or are they even good for his own people? And of course, the results would be not very good. But because we don't do that, like I did in my YouTube channel series, How to Deal with Trump, let's go with, let's pretend we're responsible adults and say that's not okay. But they can't go there, right? And that's who represent us. And if people are upset with who represent us, they want to switch to somebody that's just the same. So we're not that bright. We got to talk about the systemic issues in our species. This character is a young poison ivy here. In class, she's got always questions. She questions things. She says, are we seriously still cutting into innocent creatures in the name of learning about biology? Because really, at this point, you could watch a video of a dissection of a frog. You don't have to keep doing that to frogs, because it's not like they're advancing the sciences, the students. And it's not like any of them have a chance to become scientists in our devolving societies, right? Proto-societies. But here she says, how can we talk about global warming without talking about human behavior? Because global warming at this point isn't caused by any anti-life behaviors from the sun or the inside of the earth or volcanoes. It's caused by us, right? We're like an anti-life equation kind of thing here. We're like, if there's a devil and there's a God, the devil won. If you look at how he's influenced our behaviors, again, you got to believe in that nonsense, and all that nonsense takes away the accountability on us, right? It's pointing the finger somewhere else, And same thing, Catholics have good intentions, but Catholics have a culture where full disclosure honesty is not required. Okay, and that's the same with capitalists, that's the same with religious leaders, it's the same with rich people. It's the same even with the average person walking on the street, right? They can't improve themselves when they don't address the reality of themselves, right? And of course, the concept of personal development is something that is not at all acceptable. Like, I've offered personal development training for free, and I've taken a lot in my time, and I'm qualified to offer it. And it's people that appreciate me, but they lose me. They don't get me to work for them as often as I want to, and they need me to, because they're fighting off personal development. They're fighting off, let's say, psychotherapy or self-actualization or the maturation process in big ways. So, of course, that doesn't provide an Homo sapien hope for the future, because the species I share DNA with won't look at itself in the mirror and won't do the work to take more steps forwards than backwards in their psychological development. Okay, so I have a motorhome right now, and I'm not paying for fuel or insurance for a long time because there's issues to be solved, so I'm not further victimized. I've approached the right people. It's not being addressed, it's avoided. Okay, so, but in the meantime, I could be fixing this motorhome and somebody else could use it. Somebody might say, oh, it's a piece of trash, buy another one. No, it still would be appreciated, let's say, by a homeless person or a person who would like to disconnect from the unhealthy proto-societies we live in and maybe become a bit more independent in this way. But then you're looking at the price of fuel and how Canada might say, okay, we're not going to charge this tax during this time. Well, some gas stations and franchises are still doing it, and nobody's questioning it because there's no real oversight of anything that's decided by politicians anyways. And their public servants aren't doing it, as I'm documenting. Nobody's addressing case files that I'm providing them. So, and of course, insurance companies, in my case, want to keep charging me for things that they haven't provided, or that they've provided with misinformation based on the limited training that they get as employed people. So there's my motorcycle and Ford are easily repaired, and they're not really near the end of their life. But I live in a proto-society where I would be victimized to keep them going. Now, I have a hybrid bicycle. And because capitalism ruins the concept of customer service or human rights or the value of others or community or referencing others, is the person I bought it from, it's almost like there's a resentment that he has to apply his warranty or that he has to be at his shop and sell you the part you need. So there's really no follow-up. It's about the initial sale, and after that, it's almost like, what, you expect to keep this bike going? I don't know. And this bike is in good shape, and I use it for everything, and I don't really need my motorcycle or motorhome for it on the road. But the thing is even my hybrid bike, and it would be the same with electric cars, capitalism complicates everything, and it's not about, the measurement of how much carbon footprint is from this fossil fuel car or this fully electric car. It's also about how we have devolved our human systems, that we don't care. We don't care who has access to these vehicles, how hard it is to repair them and maintain them or charge them, and if eventually the capitalist companies make it more expensive or even a harder carbon footprint to have the electric car. For example, if you're always stuck in traffic with your hybrid because, there's not enough lanes, there's not enough people using public transit because they want to be alone in their electric cars. We have human systems issues, and we don't talk about human behaviors. So I'm telling this guy, I said, I need to buy a whole bunch of parts from you if I'm going to maintain this car, this bicycle. If I like this hybrid bicycle, I have to buy parts before they break because he's so hard to reach. and he makes it that you should feel guilty when you need one of his parts.